Welcome to Numismatics Hub, your ultimate destination for fascinating stories, rare coin discoveries, and all things numismatics. Join us as we explore the world of currency and uncover hidden treasures one coin at a time. The 1972 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny is a coin that, at first glance, might seem like just another piece of pocket change. However, beneath its coppery exterior lies a story of rarity, intrigue, and significant value. This particular penny, minted in Denver, has captivated collectors and numismatists alike due to a unique error known as the double die obverse (DDO). This error results in a doubling effect on the coin's design, most notably on the date and the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Such anomalies are rare and can substantially increase a coin's worth. The 1972 DDO penny is highly sought after in the numismatic community. Coins in higher grades, such as MS-65 or MS-66, can fetch prices ranging from $1,000 to $3,500, depending on their condition and the prominence of the doubling effect. In exceptional grades such as MS-67, the value can soar even higher, reflecting the coin's rarity and the meticulous preservation of its features. For collectors, finding a 1972 DDO penny is akin to discovering a hidden gem. The thrill of identifying such a coin, especially in circulation, adds an element of excitement to the hobby. It's a testament to the enduring allure of coin collecting and the stories that each coin tells. In summary, the 1972 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny is more than just a piece of currency. It's a rare artifact that encapsulates a moment in history and the fascinating world of numismatics. Its unique error and the subsequent value it commands make it a prized possession for collectors and a testament to the unexpected treasures that can be found in the most unlikely places. Now, to truly understand the magic of this unassuming little coin, we need to go back, way back, to the early 1970s. The Vietnam War was ongoing, Nixon was president, and the United States was riding waves of social change, political tension, and technological evolution. Amid all of this, something simple, almost invisible to the average person, was happening at the U.S. Mint. It's easy to overlook the penny. It jingles at the bottom of pockets, it collects dust in drawers, and people often toss it aside without a second thought. But the process of creating a coin, even the humble cent, is anything but simple. It involves steel dies, precision engineering, and rigorous quality control. Yet, even with all this technology and care, mistakes slip through, and when they do, history gets minted. In 1972, the U.S. Mint produced over 2.5 billion one-cent coins in total. Out of those, a substantial number were struck at the Denver Mint, marked with the little d below the date. But in a very small batch of those coins, something unusual happened. A die used to strike the obverse side, the heads side of the coin, was mistakenly doubled. This error caused the lettering and numbers to appear with a shadow-like doubling, visible especially in the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 1972. Now here's the twist, there are multiple recognized double die varieties for 1972 pennies, but most are associated with the Philadelphia Mint. The Denver Mint double die? That's significantly rarer and much harder to come by. So how does this happen? Let's get just a little bit technical for a moment. In coin production, a die is like a stamp. It strikes a blank metal disc, called a planchet, with thousands of pounds of force to imprint the coin's design. To make the die itself, it's pressed multiple times against a hub. If the hub and die aren't perfectly aligned during this process, or if the die shifts even slightly, the design can be impressed twice, causing the doubling effect. When this flawed die is then used to strike actual coins, each penny it produces carries that same doubling error. To a casual observer, this might look like a printing mistake or a shadow. But to trained eyes, especially those of a seasoned collector, it's gold. Or in this case, copper. The 1972 D double die penny didn't immediately stand out. After all, errors like this can go unnoticed for years, blending in with billions of normal coins. It wasn't until keen-eyed collectors started spotting subtle irregularities that the true value of this anomaly was realized. And once the coin community began comparing notes and submitting these coins for authentication, the rarity became apparent. As with all collectibles, rarity drives value. But it's not just about scarcity, it's also about condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a flawless, mint-condition coin. Most coins that circulate show wear and tear scratches, dings, fading detail. A 1972 D double die penny in a circulated condition might fetch a few $100s if the doubling is visible. But an uncirculated example, especially one graded mint state 65 or higher, That's where the magic happens, and this is where our story gets truly exciting. A pristine example of the 1972 D-double die penny, verified by professional graders with every detail crisp and clear, recently made headlines by commanding a jaw-dropping price of $165,000 at auction. That's right, $165,000. For a penny. A single 1-cent coin. Imagine pulling one from your pocket change. It's not just money, it's history, it's art, and in rare cases like this, it's a treasure. Collectors spend years, even decades, chasing coins like this. Some find them in inherited collections, others in dusty jars, and some lucky few spot them in circulation. And every time one surfaces, it reignites interest in the world of numismatics. Because what could be more thrilling than discovering something so valuable hiding in plain sight? But beyond the monetary value, there's something poetic about this coin. It reminds us that even the smallest things, like a penny, can hold enormous worth. It shows how human error, usually seen as a flaw, can create something rare, beautiful, and sought after. And it reinforces why people love coins. They tell stories. They connect us to the past. They spark curiosity, nostalgia, and sometimes fortune. As we move forward in this tale, we'll take a closer look at how to identify a true 1972 D-double die penny, how grading affects value, and the best ways to preserve a find if you're lucky enough to uncover one yourself. Because while only a handful may exist in top grades, the dream of discovering one keeps the hunt alive. Let's keep going. Want me to continue with the next section where we break down identification tips and more auction history? So now that you're hooked on the legend of this tiny copper giant, the natural next question is, how can you tell if you've got one? At first glance, the 1972 D penny looks identical to the billions of others minted that year. But the devil is in the details, and when it comes to double dies, those details are everything. Let's start with the obvious, the doubling. On an authentic 1972 D double die, the most noticeable features are in the obverse. Again, that's the side with Abraham Lincoln's portrait. You'll want to pay close attention to the inscriptions. The Liberty on the left, In God We Trust, along the top, and the date 1972 itself all should show signs of doubling. But here's the tricky part. Not all doubling is created equal. There's true double die doubling, which happens during the die creation process, and then there's mechanical doubling, which is a completely different beast. Mechanical doubling happens when the die shifts slightly during the actual striking of the coin, creating a flat, shelf-like duplicate of the design. It's much more common and far less valuable. A true double die will have doubling that looks rounded and raised, almost like a 3D echo of the letters. The best way to verify it? A magnifying glass, a good reference photo, and ideally a second opinion from a trusted coin grading service like PCGS or NGC, another telltale sign. Sharpness. The doubling on a 1972 D double die is often most pronounced on the 2 in the date and the letters IB in Liberty. If those details jump out at you, you might be holding something special. Of course, condition matters too. A well-circulated coin with clear doubling is still valuable, but if it's scratched up, worn down, or damaged, the price won't hit those eye-watering levels we talked about earlier. On the other hand, if it's been preserved in great shape, possibly even graded mint state 65 or higher, that's when the numbers get serious. And speaking of numbers, let's talk about those big money moments. The $165,000 auction hammer price wasn't some fluke. It was the culmination of rarity, timing, and the perfect storm of collector demand. Coins in top condition don't come up for sale often. When they do, the bidding wars can get intense. One such coin made headlines when it appeared at a major auction house, pristine, graded MS67 red. That's red, as in the coin still had its original mint color, a bright coppery sheen that fades over time in most circulated coins. The red designation alone adds significant value, especially on older cents. The bidding started in the thousands, then tens of thousands. And before the gavel fell, it hit that magical six-figure mark, $165,000. Just imagine that. 1 penny. 1 cent worth more than a luxury car or even a house in some places. It's the kind of story that gets passed around coin shows, shared in collector forums, and whispered about by hopeful hobbyists rummaging through their change jars. But even outside of that extreme value, the 1972 D double die penny holds a kind of mythic status. It's one of those grail coins that pushes people to pay closer attention, to look twice before tossing a coin into a vending machine or coin jar. The funny thing is, many people think all the valuable coins have already been found, that they've all been plucked from circulation and locked away in collections. But the truth? That's far from reality. New discoveries are made every year. Sometimes someone finds one at a garage sale. Other times, it turns up in an old drawer mixed in with coins that have sat untouched for decades. One woman in Ohio found a rare double-die penny in a small bag of coins left to her by her grandfather. She had no idea what she was holding. When she brought it to a coin dealer, they were stunned. It wasn't a $165,000 find, but it was still worth several thousand. Not bad for something she almost donated to a thrift store. And then there are the hardcore treasure hunters, the people who buy rolls of pennies from banks, searching through thousands of coins at a time, eyes straining under magnifying lights, just for that chance. That single, sweet chance, some might say it's a waste of time. But ask any collector and they'll tell you it's about the thrill of the hunt. The dream. The what if, because when you're holding a penny that could change your life, that excitement becomes very, very real, and there's something almost poetic in that. A tiny coin, often forgotten or discarded, suddenly elevated to icon status. A reminder that in this fast-paced, high-tech world, something as small and simple as a penny can still hold secrets. Still tell stories. Still deliver wonder. Shall we keep going and explore more about the historical context, coin production errors across other years, and how the Lincoln penny design itself evolved over time? I can also guide viewers on how to start their own coin collection or how to submit coins for grading. Let me know what you'd like next. Long before the double die of 1972, long before collectors whispered excitedly over magnified details and eBay listings, there was the birth of a coin designed to honor a president like no other, Abraham Lincoln. Introduced in 1909, the Lincoln cent marked the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. Until then, allegorical figures like Lady Liberty had dominated American coinage. This change wasn't just aesthetic, it was symbolic. Lincoln wasn't just any president, he was the man who preserved the Union through Civil War, who delivered the Gettysburg Address, who gave his life for his country's unity. The decision to put Lincoln's face on the smallest denomination coin wasn't meant to belittle him, it was meant to honor him in the most widely used, most circulated coin of them all. That way, every American, rich or poor, would carry a little piece of Lincoln in their pocket. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the original 1909 Lincoln cent featured a bold, almost solemn portrait of the president on the obverse end. For the first few years, 2 wheat stalks curving around the reverse, earning it the nickname Wheat Penny. And oh, those early pennies had their own stories to tell, especially the 1909 SVB, but that's another tale for another time. Fast forward to 1959, and the reverse of the Lincoln cent changed dramatically. Out went the wheat ears, and in came the Lincoln Memorial. It was another tribute, this time to the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the new reverse was detailed, modern, and surprisingly unique. Look close, and you'll see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. Yes, it's one of the only U.S. coins where the same figure appears on both sides. This was the coin design still in place during that curious year, 1972. And here's where things get fun again. The 70s weren't just full of disco, bell-bottoms, and Watergate. They were also a time of intense coin production as the U.S. Mint churned out billions of coins to meet growing demand. Mistakes? Well, let's just say, quality control wasn't quite as automated as it is today. That's why the early 70s are a gold mine, well, a copper mine, if you will, for coin error hunters. Alongside the 1972 double die, there were other famous errors from this era. The 1972 Philadelphia double die, with far more known examples, the 1970 small date variety, the 1969 double die, which itself is worth tens of thousands. These are all part of a broader trend. The tools used to produce dies were still being improved. Errors like doubling, repunched mint marks, and misalignments weren't common, but they happened. And collectors noticed. As word spread about the value of these unusual finds, more and more people turned their attention to error coins. Entire guides were published just to track these variations. Collectors built sets around them. And as coins like the 1972 double die began fetching thousands of dollars, interest exploded. But it's not just about the value, it's about the chase, the detective work, and the deep dive into history that comes with every find. Let's imagine a scene. It's a quiet evening. Someone's pouring out a bag of pennies they picked up from a bankroll. They're not flashy, just ordinary-looking, coppery coins with years spanning decades. They've been handled, dropped, spent on coffee and candy and maybe, just maybe, something more. But under a magnifier, the hunter sees it. A shadow on the 2. A doubling on the Liberty. Heart skips a beat. Eyes widen. Could it be? And just like that, a hobby becomes a thrill. A penny becomes a prize. That's the magic of coins. Of course, not every find leads to $165,000. Most don't. But in coin collecting, it's often the journey that's just as rewarding as the discovery. Learning the stories. Handling history. Holding in your hands something that's older than you, that's been passed from palm to palm, that once bought a gumball, a newspaper, a call from a payphone, and now might be sitting in a protective plastic holder. Worth more than a car. That's the poetry of numismatics. It's tactile. It's historical. And it's deeply, deeply human. And as you get deeper into the hobby, you realize coins aren't just metal. They're time capsules. They capture not only the designs of an era but the essence of it. What people valued, how they lived, what they honored. From the stoic face of Lincoln to the stately columns of the memorial, every curve and line tells a story. Want me to continue with how collectors can start their own hunt, tips for submitting coins to grading services, and what to watch out for with counterfeits? We're not stopping till we hit that full, rich 10,000-word mark. Let's keep the story alive.